When the time comes, he must be trained.
Like you trained his father.
I love it. I love it. I love it. If you guys are hearing new voices, that is because we are honored with the presence of the DYAD in the Force for tonight's bonus podcast of the week. Thank you both, DarthChoco and Element7, for joining us tonight on Star Wars, guys. We really appreciate it. We're going to dive into it. We're going to talk Star Wars Celebration, talk a little bit about your guys' journey with Star Wars, and, of course, Kenobi series, hence the quote. First thing I want to ask is, before we kick things off, I don't want to forget, where can people that are tuning in, whether they're listening to this back or able to watch live tonight, can find you guys? Social media, where can they find you? I know you guys got podcasts and Twitter and TikTok.
I guess I'll go first because I have the least amount, but I am Element7 underscore Element7 underscore on TikTok. If you're watching a video, this is the underscore gang symbol. You can find me at the same thing on Twitter and youtube.com/DYAD in the Force for our podcast with DarthChoco, DYAD in the Force, every Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific. And yeah, that's where you can find me. And thanks for having us on.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you guys.
Yeah, like you said, it's been a long time coming, so appreciate it. But yeah, I'm DarthChoco on TikTok, DarthChoco on YouTube, DarthChoco7 on Twitter, and I need to use Instagram more. I don't. DarthChoco there, but yeah, I also have the High Ground podcast. This is every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. But as the co-member of DYAD in the Force, always, jump on that, join us live Saturdays at 5 p.m. We just chill, a lot of fun, and we have the coolest chat.
Yeah. Seriously. Going forward to live watch alongs whenever shows drop. So if it's like if it drops on a Wednesday, it's Tuesday night 11:30 Pacific.
Yeah. Who needs sleep? Well, we're both on the West Coast, so it's a bit easier.
Okay.
But they're killing us, man. You can't give us Marvel and Star Wars.
I know. It's brutal. Right? It's brutal. I still need to catch up on Miss Marvel. I've been so into Kenobi. I've been rewatching it like every week and not spending time at other places.
It is brutal. Like my work day starts at 8 a.m. So I go from watching Kenobi, and then we commiserate over what happened, and it usually lasts for another half hour. So it's already close to 1:30. And then for some reason I decide to watch Miss Marvel afterwards because I just can't wait.
Why not?
So by the time I'm going to sleep, it's already really, really early.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Marvel has proven to be a really good palate cleanser. So after we're all grieving from Obi-Wan sadness, we have our emotional support powwow afterwards, and then but then you can't just go to bed. I wouldn't be able to sleep. So Miss Marvel, and then you get centered.
I'm so glad you said that because I was just about to say I should have been doing that because I'm waking up and watching Kenobi, and then I'm up. For you, my eyes are 2:00 in the morning for us. And my eyes are wide awake for the next hour and a half after Kenobi. I can't fall back asleep. So if I were to watch Miss Marvel, it'd be a nice cleanser, like you said.
Yeah,
definitely should have done that. But anyway, we'll dive into it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. One thing I want to ask, because I'm always curious what people's journey is with Star Wars, is that really what is your journey? What kind of got you into Star Wars? Where do you remember first getting introduced to Star Wars? What kind of got you into Star Wars? Why are you making content about Star Wars? And we can start with Element7.
It's probably similar to a lot of other people's journeys. My brother came home with the New Hope VHS one day. I think I was 6 years old, and I was like, "What's this?" And then he was like, "No, you're watching this." I'm like, "Okay." So I watched it, and then my interest was piqued, not around the lightsaber, but around Obi-Wan saying, when they blew up the Alderaan, and Obi-Wan said, it's as if a million voices cried out and suddenly vanished. And I was like, there's something mystical about this. And mystical was a big word for a 6-year-old. And then I watched Empire Strikes Back. and we met Yoda. And Yoda had exponentially scaled up the world building, like to the nth degree, with all of his like, you know, abstract musings about what the Force is and teaching Luke about things and never being explicit about it. And so it kind of like Yoda was kind of like my Jedi master when I was young too.
Yeah.
And so that kind of started or propelled my journey into world building and fantasy. Like it wasn't like the usual like Knights of the Round Table and like the high fantasy of the dragons and the knights and stuff. It was Star Wars. And then it just blew up from there. And in terms of like making content, it was the moment I think 2018 where I just said this is enough. I've had enough. The conversation around Star Wars was just way too negative and reductive. Yeah. You know, there was a lot of people on TikTok that were trying to celebrate their fandom, but you know, bogged down by comment section that wasn't even relevant to what they were talking about. Like someone was just cosplaying as Rey. They love Rey, and then all of these comments are like, oh, Rey's not a Skywalker, or oh, I hate Rey. Rey's poorly written, and I'm just like, we have to change the conversation around this. And like, I didn't know that I was going to be a part of that, but that's what made me start doing videos.
Sure, I love that. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then for me, Star Wars has kind of always been a part of my world. You know, my mom was a closet nerd. My mom's more into Star Trek, and sometimes says uncomfortable things about Jean-Luc Picard, but that's besides the point. We had a VHS tape of The Empire Strikes Back that was recorded. I don't know where, and I watched that thing until it broke, just over and over again. And then, you know, the movie started coming back out. So in the 90s. And so I went to all of those. I had the special editions box set. And so, yeah, the special editions were my movies. And I'd get made fun of for that. But I like it had, you know, the set was gold, you know, and then my had the non-special ones, which were in the black case. And then they'd be like, oh, this one's so much better. And I'm like, so like the stupid stuff started back then, you know, but
it did.
So what? A dinosaur slowly walks in front of the camera for like 30 seconds. Like, you know, there was nothing to see there anyways. Anyhow, then when it came up to making content, you know, I had a job where I was doing physical labor, and I had read a few Star Wars books, but I discovered audiobooks. And I just dove deep. You know what I mean? Like I consumed absolutely everything that I could while I was working. You know, I was working with like headphones in, 10 hours a day of work, and then living situation was crazy back then. So then I would just go to the gym for like another 2.5 hours and listen to more stuff there. So I consumed, you know, libraries of stuff, and then started getting back into the physical books and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, a lot of the Star Wars podcasts that I listened to would say stuff, and you're like, that's wrong. No, and they're like speculate about it, and like, no, that's answered over here. And so I always wanted to make content. You know, it was something I had been planning to do for years. And then pandemic hit. You know, it was May 2nd. I never made a piece of content. May 2nd, I went out, I bought this microphone. Didn't even know how to make content. A friend had me on their podcast, and then I made my first TikTok on May 3rd, 2020.
Fitting.
Yeah. Fitting. Almost May 4th. I like it. Yeah. That's awesome. I always find it very interesting, those like how people kind of got into it. Uncle actually really kind of sparked our interest, myself, my brothers, our family, kind of into the Star Wars, the world, I guess, growing up. We lived relatively close and would always play with Star Wars action figures and all the toys and things. And So saw the originals from a young, I can't even remember, from a young age, and then grown up through the prequels as well, and then now the sequels. It's just, I feel like when Disney kind of made the purchase, that's when I always loved Star Wars. It was always my, like, if people asked, I'm like, yeah, Star Wars is my favorite, movies, my favorite trilogies. But I mean, I would have never thought I'd have a Star Wars podcast. And then with Disney kind of making the purchase, bringing it back, not that it was irrelevant, but bringing it back to current, relevance in terms of just content being produced, really just sparked my energy to dive back in and dive deeper. And we always had Star Wars conversations. Uncle can contest to this too.
We've been doing a podcast for years. We just didn't have a mic.
Exactly. So that was
I was blessed enough to I'm an old cat, to see it wasn't episode 4 then, to see Star Wars in the theater, and blew my mind. 8 years old. My brother, Nate's dad, took me to see Star Wars, and it was in the day where you could stay. I guess you could stay. Maybe we broke the rules. We stayed and watched it twice in a row, and it was life-changing. I mean, what it's like the first time you see it. So, old school stuff. And then I passed it on to Nate and Mike. And,
I mean, just to build off of what Choco said, like, I started off trying to like fight back the toxicity. Like, you can see my very first video was telling people to STFFU. But then like I noticed what was the cause of a lot of the toxicity, which is what Choco mentioned, was there's a lot of misinformation going out there. And so I started correcting some things, and then suddenly, I grew, and then questions started coming in, just lore-wise, or just questions about continuity, and then I started answering that, and suddenly I became like this, this archivist. I wanted to call myself an archivist, but lore master just seems more cooler.
I was gonna say, I look at both of you as the lore masters when it comes to the Star Wars content. If I need a question answered, I'm pulling up your guys' videos to find out. Okay, awesome. Where was this? What comic was this in? What book was this in?
But that's
sorry.
Well, just like that. That's where a lot of the misinformation comes from, or at least the bad takes. Right? There's a lot of people that have takes that are based off of incorrect information, and so it has become vital to not only fight the toxicity, but make sure that the information is out there. And whenever we talk about the dichotomy between legends and canon, it's not that one is better than the other. It's just you have to know what you're working from, your information base. So if we're talking about legend stuff, we can talk about legend stuff, but that means you can't use that in a canon basis. So if we're talking about canon, use canon. And so like, the transformation has been huge. Like a lot of people are now fighting in the comments for us, and like they have correct information, which is awesome. And I just love it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, that's part of the reason why I love, having you guys on specifically, why I cater towards your guys' information, your guys' posts and things, is because of the positivity, because I see like our podcast kind of in the same realm of trying to be, a positive light for those that are listening. Are there valid criticisms of things? Sure. But let's still, try to bring that positivity to different things. And that's what we try to do. And I've seen the same through your guys' content too. So we're excited to have you here. That's a big reason why we wanted to have you on for real, to be able to connect with more creators like that.
Yeah, I'll give a really quick example. There's a difference between not liking Rey's journey personally versus not liking her because she suddenly knew how to fly the Millennium Falcon, which is incorrect because she didn't,
Sure.
She crashed in the beginning, and then she had to connect with the Force, and then she was flying in her own home turf, so she knew the terrain. But then that's it. She doesn't fly it as much as like Chewie, Poe, and Han, everybody else in the sequels. So it's just like, those bad takes for sure.
And the training is another one. Everyone complains about training. I'm like, Luke didn't train much.
No, I got that one. We could go on. Like, that was quick.
Right. Yeah. So a big thing I wanted to touch on with having you guys on is one, extremely jealous. Star Wars Celebration. I'd love to hear about your guys' experience, what it was like. It's a bucket list item of mine to go. I know Uncle's saying the same thing. We're trying to go. We want to go. London might be a little difficult to make it to.
We're going.
But
I'll put that out in mind, Nate. We're going. Yeah.
Put it on your vision
Do it,
board.
man.
yeah, right.
Do or do
We'll
not.
see.
So
That's
We're
true.
going to try.
when it comes to well, I actually like right before we get to that, I just want to say, so when I started making content, I started seeing this guy who was like, because I was like, no, none of these like big creators like know what they're talking about. Like, this is bothering me. And then there was this one guy that was like, oh, just everything was right. And I was like, okay. And then that was Element7. And then I reached out to Pep. And I was like, I don't think we agree on everything, but I'd love to have a conversation with you on what balance in the force is. And then we just said the same thing back and forth to each other. We're like, this
is a dyad.
Lisa thinking
It is
Lisa being friends. Yeah, so that started that. But no, Celebration. I went to Celebration in 2015 when the Force Awakens trailer first dropped.
Okay.
And that was amazing. That had been the best con I'd ever been to, because it was just so bright, so hopeful. And it remained the best con, through I work at Comic-Con in San Diego every year, and WonderCon, Kamikaze,
awesome.
all this stuff. Yeah, Star Wars Celebration this year eclipsed it pretty big time. And it's in no small part thanks to this community that has sprouted up. Like we absolutely wish you could have been there, because you're absolutely part of it too. But there's so many. It was so cool to walk around and see what the fandom really is, and we're all so excited. The High Republic panel is packed full of people. Everyone's just cheering, so excited to get to the next chapter. Our friends over at Star Wars Explained did their whole, the importance of Rey panel, packed. Everyone's cheering and happy, and we're spending time with all these people that we've only met like this. Like, pandemic is a thing, man. Like, and it's interesting because every single person was the same person. More or less. Some people were like way taller than you anticipated, but in person, and we're just
Some
like
shorter.
Yeah. but I mean, like, we're walking along and you run into, like Theories by T, who's hanging out with us. Josh Mesa Windu, we see Straw Hat Goofy, we see all these people, and we just like hug each other because we're all friends already. It's TikTok has been a weird platform because of it brings the creators way closer to their viewers than YouTube or anything else. And it's real. Like, Star Wars Celebration was amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love hearing that.
I'm just going to echo everything that he said about meeting the community. Everyone was just super, super amazing. And just kind of like, realizing how much you needed that human contact. Like, for so long, you've been stuck inside. And for some of us who are introverts, we're like, oh, this is my home field advantage. Like, I thrive in my cave. But then when I got to meet everyone, I was like, oh man, this is amazing. And then, went back home, everyone was gone. I was like, man, I miss everybody. But for me, the celebration, obviously it's my first celebration, because not everybody knows I'm a game designer. And so the only ones I go to is GDC and E3.
Okay.
And I had never been to like this, a larger, well, I guess when I was younger, I did go to like Otakon, but that was like, that was way younger. But I had never been to a Star Wars con. I'd never been to a Comic-Con. So this was my first celebration. It was just absolutely spectacular. Thanks to everyone.
That's
and
awesome.
Thanks to what they announced there too.
Yeah.
Well, also thanks to the DYAD house. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, what's that?
I mean, just in an effort to keep everyone in the same space, we had planned initially to rent out like a villa.
Oh,
But then everybody like as soon as tickets went on sale, everybody started booking hotels left and right. I'm like, okay, who's gonna come to the DYAD villa? And then it was like
Yeah.
four or five people. I'm like, okay, we'll just need a house then. So
Yeah.
we booked an Airbnb and had, you know, Sawyerism, Cal4, one of our channel friends,
Sure.
Chase or Forward Into the Black. Just had a bunch of people staying in the same spot, same house, and we were able to have people over, including Nidra Loves Cosplay, to experience the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was like being at home but with your friends instead of at the con. It was great.
That's cool. Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
great. I mean, like I said, I love hearing stories from different, you know, experiences like that, especially, you know, around Star Wars Celebration. Obviously, it's a goal of ours to be able to make it, and we'll
Hey,
make
Nate,
it.
let me-
but-
Come
Let me
to
say something.
London. Come to London. We're gonna rent a castle.
all right,
Cool.
all right.
No, I don't
I
know.
better be
Love.
knighted because I'm coming.
I don't know that we'll be able
Oh,
to,
Nathan.
to top the karaoke party with, you know, bottle service and stuff. But,
Oh wow.
but we'll try.
I heard about that on one of your casts. Hey, I love the fact that you guys, you know, we talk about all the announcements and all the content. I love that you guys are talking about the connections with the people. That's awesome. Just to be with like-minded people, man.
Yeah.
It would be a blast. It'd be a blast.
It's a surreal environment to be in, because if you're just online, you see the lines in the sand drawn between the toxic people and then the fans who truly just celebrate Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're surrounded by it. Like no one is spending upwards of close to $1,000-$2,000 to come hate. So they're there to get their money's worth. They're there to get excited and hype. And so it is just, the environment is palpable and it's electric.
Yeah, and
That's cool.
the thing you said about spending time with like-minded people is it's true, but it's also funny because like a lot of the same people, we were in like a voice chat, and everyone shared, you know, their favorite film and their least favorite, and all of them were different. A lot of us, our favorite is someone else's least favorite, and being like-minded doesn't mean you like all the same things.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
an
there's
important
room, right?
thing.
Yeah.
And it was
Absolutely.
that's what made it so cool. And so when you're actually there, I mean, full disclosure, if you like go out there alone or whatnot, you do wait a lot. There's a lot of lines. There's a lot of sitting around waiting for stuff to start or waiting to get in. Don't even try to go to the store. At least it was really poorly managed. They were like, yeah, if you're not here by now, it'll be 4 hours. And you're like,
Oh,
Oh wow.
Fortunately, I had someone in there for me to pick up these beautiful leather-bound High Republic books.
That's nice.
Sweet.
But having these people, like, we're all chilling, hanging out together, and like the lines weren't so bad then in those cases. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
lines just weren't so
chilling.
bad.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. Obviously, I want to get to some Kenobi stuff. With it just finale. So this is where we go off script, right? We got nothing really planned. Just wanted to kind of get overall thoughts and dive into certain moments, whether it's the finale episode, whether it's just anything throughout the series, overall thoughts, whatever that may be. I'd love to hear what your guys' take was on Kenobi.
I'd like to challenge accepted in the chat really quickly if we're going off script. We got
go
people
yeah.
who love The Last Jedi, and I applaud you both because my top 2 shifts ever, like always, between Empire and The Last Jedi, and it depends on what I'm watching that night. But Choco firmly plants The Last Jedi as his top, so you guys are in good company.
I'm up there. I'm up there with you.
Me too.
I'm the same way.
And it's
Depends which
moved
one I'm
up of
watching.
late. Yeah, I just went on a rant on one of our casts, and I just started talking through all the reasons, and then I watched it again. I was like, "This is a beautiful, poetic, so well thought out, so many great surprises." Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's getting more props. I see people moving in the right direction, so it's awesome.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Once that movie ended, I turned to my buddy who saw it with, and I was like, "Man, people are gonna love this."
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
They'll get there.
I mean,
real
you
quick.
agreed largely with Knapsack from Schmodown.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I like. Yeah. I like Ken stuff. Kylo Ken. Real quick, I want to say I don't know if it's just me, Uncle's mic. I don't know if it's just coming through on my end. Seems to be a little choppy, but I can still hear everything you're saying. I don't know if it was.
How about now?
Or not. That was a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everyone's able to hear that.
I turned off. There was like a filter thing for background noise. I turned that off. Is it still doing it?
For
a little
me,
bit,
it's
but-
for me, it's sounding a little like laggy, like there's an internet issue.
Hmm.
And the
Oh, no.
video has some artifacting. I think it might be internet related, but
Yeah, that's all right.
All right.
If we can't figure it out, we'll just power through. That's fine.
Keep going.
Yeah, but yes, Last Jedi. I mean, we make a joke about it on our podcast that we can't get through an episode without mentioning it because we just we love it. And I know I teased Chaka by saying that we would talk about the Last Jedi sometime when he comes on. So I'm all for talking all Last Jedi. Forget Kenobi. Oh no, just I could talk Last Jedi all day.
We'll come back for that one.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
but man, no, with Kenobi specifically, this final episode was. I mean, you can't really. Yes, we can talk about the final episode, but like the whole thing was one long 6-part movie, and it kills me that because that's what they told us they'd be giving us, and it's weird that not everyone could comprehend that, but the way they built the story up, and for me, the culmination was when when Vader became a an earthbender and buried Obi-Wan, and that scene was like the culmination of all of the darkness crushing in on him and all of his failures, and then the light, and then the hope, and then the his thoughts for the future, and then the children, and that's what his strength was. And it calls back to the High Republic books where they talk about how a Jedi's at their strongest when they're helping other people, and then as Ven Skywalker in my chat said, then he turned into unhinged space Jesus, and it was just like it was throwing stones.
Yeah.
I loved it. It made me so happy, and it was poetic and beautiful. That's what I'm here for is the depth.
Yeah, it was the best, if not one of the best finales we've gotten on Disney Plus across the entire platform. I think they nailed it on all fronts with that finale. And I think in general the show nailed it because Choco is right. It is a long story split up into 6 parts, and I feel like more people need to watch Chinese and Korean dramas to get used to that because it is all one story set up, like separated into episodes, whereas like a lot of Western shows are serialized. They have that little like isolated story within each episode with the larger plot, but that's besides the point. I think holistically the show was incredible. It's 10 out of 10. Like I can go from part to part and be like, okay, it was a little weak for me, or it was a little slow, or they could have done this or they could have done that. There's missed opportunities. But overall, if I'm going to rate the story as they told it, 10 out of 10. Just the parallels and the enhancements it does to the overall franchise is absolutely incredible. And shout out to Deborah Chow for this and Joey Harold for writing this stuff, because we now know why Leia connects so well with Rey. when you get that one scene, I could tell you all about your biological parents. And she's like, that's okay.
Right.
There they are, like not my real parents. And then you realize in The Rise of Skywalker, Leia knew about Rey's lineage and took care of her anyway. So because she knows that like it's not about the blood, it's not the blood that connects you, it's about the people around you. And so it enhanced Tross moved up in my ranking after seeing Leia's backstory, which is weird, right? Because it's not about Rey, it's about Leia. But knowing that much, kind of like enhances that. But I think the biggest takeaway for me was Obi-Wan cracking one side, Ahsoka cracking the other, and Luke cracking the entire thing. It was just an incredible progression overall with the story of his mask.
So good. I love that. Yeah, awesome. I didn't even thought about the I mean, I thought a little bit about the Leia connection, but then connecting her response to Rey and, Rise of Skywalker and just being able to see and hear that she continued to train even though she knew her parents, her lineage. I didn't even really connect to that. That's great. I love that. That whole scene, I mean, that whole scene's fantastic with Obi-Wan finally being able to overcome just the guilt that he's been carrying and realize that was what was kind of holding him back from being able to talk and tell Leia the truth. It's just, I mean, the whole thing's so emotional, but it's so good. The fight specifically, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on the fight. I think the fight it far exceeded my expectations of what I was kind of going into the show thinking would happen.
I was in more euphoria with the fight.
The fight was I mean, for one, absolutely beautifully shot. The other thing that we never got is, because in the original trilogy they added the colors of your lightsabers, and after the fact, we never got them on masks or anyone's faces or anything like that. So it's cool to actually have the true lighting effects and how they play around with the narrative by using them. Yeah. But the choreography itself, I mean, I enjoy the prequel fights as much as the next guy, but these felt like real fights. They weren't spinning around. They didn't stop and Obi-Annie at each other several times. It's that stuff is fun. It's fun, but even the way like there's interviews where Hayden's like it really is just a well choreographed dance that we're doing in those, and this felt like a fight. This felt like the bridge between the way they fought in the original trilogy, with pulling out certain moves and things from the sequel trilogy as well.
Yeah. And we got some of that audio too. We got some of the different scores in this from the original as well, which I don't know how much. I don't know if we really got any of that until the finale.
If you watch,
which is what I really liked. Actually, I liked that we only got whispers of these, because these characters aren't fully formed yet. Especially the last scene. It starts out with a little bit of Anakin and Padme's theme, and then it goes into Leia's theme. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
If you watch our watch party, like I go crazy when he pulls out Ataru, and I was like, what is going on? Because that's such a huge callback and call forward to when he faces Maul and thinks of using Ataru then. And then he's like, wait, this is a great bait. And then Maul comes in thinking it's Ataru, and then he switches back to he capitalizes on that mistake. And seeing like the acrobatics of that with when we last saw Obi-Wan, where he just couldn't hold a candle to Vader on whatever planet that was, I forgot. Like it was such an impressive display. And when you watch the interviews about them training again like they used to, and you see that fight, and you're just like, yeah, they trained. They train
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, definitely. I even like some of the interviews too. Ewan was talking about him and Hayden getting back in and working on their skills again and being able to do that together, not just for the flashback scene, but then some of that too we saw with Vader.
That's also the best display of Vader in live action. Like in all of the other iterations, he's hampered by like the restrictive suit and the practicality of it. But I'm pretty sure they've made strides in the costuming department where it's finally a little bit more mobile, and so like he is like going hard in this fight. It's so awesome.
I was shocked. He moved as much as he did.
Yeah, I mean, in the A New Hope suit, the arms couldn't move past here. They couldn't. You literally
You could
couldn't
tell.
raise his
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like the old Batman cowl problem where they can only go like this.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. What? That's right.
Oh, that's a great question in chat. Oh man, I'm getting like
if you guys see stuff in chat, we can discuss it. Which one are you talking about?
From JMan0160. Choco, if you can start that off and I'll fill in where you
This one?
Yeah.
No, I'll let you go for it.
So, okay. Number one, Rey buries the lightsabers in the sand simply because that's where Shmi is. And that's where the Skywalkers began. Also kind of relative to that, the Skywalkers began with the Force, and it was their destiny to return to it. So I know I know where everyone's coming from when they were like, "Oh, Ben should have lived, or there should have been some survivors. Why did all the Skywalkers die?" I mean, to me, I reconcile with that by saying that they have to return back to where they began, which is like if it was an immaculate conception, then they go back to the Force. The Force and its will had been done. And in terms of tapping into the dark side for that, because Vader displays earthbending in that way, no. So that's actually answered in Empire Strikes Back. How do I know the good from the bad? When you're calm, at peace, and passive. There's no ability, save for like Force lightning, that is truly of dark side nature. It is whether or not you are accessing more primal emotions to achieve it. So let's say something like a Force push. All Force users use it. That doesn't mean Force push has any kind of alignment. It's just one is angry and the other is defensive.
By that same token, if you are using the Force to close someone's windpipe to kill them, you don't have good intentions, and that's not, you're not at peace. You're not passive.
That's a great example too, because it goes hand in hand with Luke doing the Force choke on the Gamorreans in Return of the Jedi, just for the sake of pacifying them. You didn't do it to kill them.
Sure.
So one could say, it's not canonically confirmed, of course, but one could say that he was using it for the light. So I don't think
intent. Yeah,
I don't think burying
or he wanted bacon later
is dark.
Yeah, well, that's canon. Yeah. Yes, for sure. One thing you touched on earlier was the light. You were talking about using the light, and I love, first off, the dialogue in the fight is just, I felt like a dagger just went right through my chest watching the scene. But the visuals, like you said, touching on being able to use that light now, of the shift from the blue to the red as Anakin gets a little bit of a smirk underneath Vader's mask. The whole directing in that scene is just phenomenal. I think I've watched that moment maybe 12 to 15 times in the last 24 hours. I love it.
Audibly too. When he says, "You didn't kill me, Obi-Wan," that's Hayden's voice. I did. That was James Earl Jones's voice. So it was kind of like, He was back to Anakin trying to say, I forgive you. And then it goes back to the Vader and he's like, no, I don't. I will destroy you.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think one of my favorite parts in that, and I do think that scene can kind of be taken in two different ways. But one of my, I like that it seemed like Anakin and Vader both allowed Obi-Wan to get closure. Almost like both seen as two separate beings. Anakin saying, I'm not your failure is like that last bit of Anakin reaching out. And Obi-Wan getting that closure in terms of, it wasn't my fault. I'm not responsible for his turn to the dark side. I can let go of that guilt. And then as soon as it turns to Vader, he's like, you don't get to take credit for turning Anakin or killing Anakin. I did that. I want the credit for that. Darth Vader wants that credit. And so that also relieved Obi-Wan and feeling like, you're right, Anakin is completely gone.
Which is really cool because, I mean, that's exactly, like, a lot of people seem to think that Vader is the guy in the suit. No, Anakin became Vader before he did a lot. He did a lot of other stuff. And he murked a bunch of. And by the way, I don't need to see any more Order 66. I think we saw it in as much detail as we need.
Sure.
But to think about right after that, he went back to Padme and was like, "Hey, baby," like that's weird. That's on some sociopath stuff. But that was Vader. That was Anakin's choice. And when he's on Mustafar and we see that single tear in his eyes, he gets his Sith eyes. That's like Vader mourning Anakin. But like he said, like he did that. It is not because of Obi-Wan. And it makes me laugh because now we have the meme of Luke going, you
guys see that meme?
I don't know if I saw this one.
Oh man, from Return of the Jedi.
I don't know if I saw this meme. I'll have to. Someone can send it to me. I'll try and check it out.
Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah. I'll have to send it to you. I think it might.
Okay.
I mean, like just basically, it's that from a certain point of view scene, right? He's like, why didn't you tell me? Where he's like, you told me Vader murdered my father. And then Obi-Wan's like, that's literally what he told me.
That's literally what he said. Those weren't my words. Yeah. That is one thing too, is just seeing a lot of the criticism throughout the series. Well, this is, how does this add up? Or how is this going to add up? And I think they answered more questions than they even needed to. They addressed more stuff than they even needed to in this I felt like everything we kind of talked, Uncle touched on this a little bit in our podcast last night, is we're totally okay with, certain things maybe not being exactly perfect all the time, because one, it leaves a little bit of mystery and gray area, but also if you get stuck in checking boxes, it can deteriorate from story and narrative and character arc and development. And if if we all thought Obi-Wan was just living on Tatooine watching Luke this whole time, we wouldn't have got this series. So
another thing that's really important is, like, this event is canon and this event is canon. What you imagine happened in between those two, not canon, and that's okay. Maybe it happens in a different way than you thought, but if this is never explicitly said, there's nowhere in canon where it said we did not meet again since Mustafar. There's been so many. I don't know. It's been a fascinating experience in like patience. Existing on the internet has been kind of like being in the car with a little kid screaming, "Are we there yet?" every 5 seconds.
Yes, that's a great analogy. That's perfect. Yeah.
I mean, like, I have yet to see an actual criticism of the technicalities of the show. of any technical aspects of it. Like most of the criticisms I've seen was, why is Riva so aggressive? Why is Riva so angry? Why is the Grand Inquisitor dead? Why are they breaking canon? So these are all things that like you just don't have all the information yet. I haven't seen anything like, of course, people attribute Riva being angry with poor writing, but those people are just not good people. I mean, you can get deep into to criticizing aspects of the show, but if your criticisms is based on I don't know what's happening yet, then you just gotta hold your horses.
Yeah.
Also, Riva standout character,
Yes.
development throughout the show, well done. And I need like, as sad as it would be, I need pre-Riva content of her being a child, having to exist on her own in the in the bowels of Coruscant. And I want to see like if she had to go online to LinkedIn in order to apply at the Quisitorius,
Right.
and like see what that was like, you know. But like there's a story there, but there's also a story afterwards where I think she needs to wander and be like a Ronin and finding herself, have a whole Rurouni Kenshin, little mini story, and then have her join the path and save Force sensitive people with Quinlan Voss.
Hey.
I like it. I like it.
She reached out to Obi-Wan for that recommendation.
Yeah,
He wasn't there.
Yeah.
She's like, where were you when they were killing my friends? And I needed your recommendation.
I was riding a big giant space lizard.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. There's a lot there, I think, with her character. I thought her character was phenomenal. I thought her performance was great. The moment at the end with Obi-Wan, him telling her that they're both free now. It's just her, crying, realizing that she's becoming Vader. Am I becoming him? And I think it's interesting because even in that moment, I saw some criticisms, of course, of people like, really, like, she's killed people, she's done all this, and just looking at a little kid's gonna remind her of herself, and she's just gonna change like that. I'm like, do you not remember?
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and then there's more there. Yeah,
right.
Do those people not know what happened to Vader, or
exactly,
or Ben, or any bad guy in all of Star Wars and all
Luke,
of anime?
Yeah, Luke rage trying to kill Vader when he mentions Leia, and then realizing, wait a second, I'm about to become him, and then he throws it away.
She acted her butt off.
Yeah,
in those scenes.
Also, Aunt Beru stays stacked. She's just like, hold on, we got this. And he's like, whoa, what is this? And she's like,
I love that.
Yeah,
that she had her moment. I just thought that was great, and the fatherly love that we don't get way back in the original stuff. We see that this is his son. It was very cool. Beru is tough. It's awesome.
He is.
Yeah. We always forget that like Shmi was his mom for years. We don't know how long Shmi lived with him, but if Shmi was a good mom, and I'm sure she loved him, and I'm sure she told him all about Anakin and Anakin fixing stuff and Anakin pod racing.
Right.
Oh, you mean
and
Beru?
now he's raising his nephew, and he sees all those same traits, and he just wants to. He is his father, and he wants to protect him from that life that ended his father.
Yeah. It's I mean, like you said earlier, both of you were talking about how much you enjoyed the series. I mean, do we think there will be a season 2? And if so, do you want it? Do you have ideas for what? I know you mentioned the path, Riva and Obi-Wan, maybe allowing Riva to right some wrongs that way. What do you guys think?
I mean, to simply put, we don't need it, but I'll watch it.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Sure,
I think that's perfect.
We don't need it because it jumped the shark is what it did, like if it had been planned as 2 seasons and we got something similar to the John Jackson Miller show in season 1 where he's handling stuff on Tatooine, and in season 2 Leia gets taken, and then Qui-Gon appears to help him because he has a certain set of skills.
I don't know who you are.
Some Skittles.
I feel like it could have worked as a season 2 where their actions brought the Inquisitors in, and that was like the season ender. But no, I don't think we need another one. I would like to have adjacent stories, but more than that,
Sure.
The path.
more than that, tell me some stories about the High Republic. That's what I want. And post Rise of Skywalker.
I'm with you.
before
I'm
or
with you
after.
on that. I got a feeling. I mean, I haven't heard anything, but I just got a feeling. I think the episode 10, or maybe not even called episode 10, but post Skywalker Saga might be closer than I think than I thought originally. Just because the cast has been back more involved in a lot of things a lot more sooner than I thought they would be. Getting involved with Celebration and different things, and
especially with Qui-Gon, or not Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson. He's just like, I'm not coming back unless it's the big screen.
The movie.
Not only are you coming back for Obi-Wan, you're coming back for Tales of the Jedi as well.
Yeah.
So we can't trust anybody.
Well, what'd he say? What'd he say? I've always been here, Obi-Wan.
There's a deleted scene where he's like, I don't know who you are, but I will find you. And then like the guy's like, I'm Flea.
That's great. Yeah, I feel like that was probably the one thing I was really expecting, because they teased it multiple times with him reaching out to him. I was like, it was just inevitable. He was going to be in there.
Yeah.
I was going back to Celebration. We were in the Tales of the Jedi panel, and and as soon as they made that announcement, Liam Neeson is returning. It was like, oh, he isn't Obi-Wan. Like, stop.
He's gotta be.
You can't tell me he comes back for that and not Obi-Wan.
Right.
That moment was such a surprise because I was expecting him to just be like, Obi-Wan, I'm here to help you. And then no, he was just sass all the way. Like, I've always been here.
He kind of trolls him too. He's like, we got a long way to go. Let's go. Come on. What do you say first? He's like, what was the first thing he said? Something about it's about time or something.
It's about time.
Yeah, around there.
Although I'm probably alone in this, but I think it would have been better if that was Dexter Jetster.
I've got cake.
There's just he's like, Obi-Wan.
What do you know?
You want a couple challenges? Their favorite.
A case can be made for Hondo too.
Yeah, I've seen more and more people on social media making pushes for Hondo.
I love
Hondo showing up somewhere. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
That's why we need the Path show, right? Because that'll be the continuation of Reva. We'll see Quinlan Voss, and then we'll see whether or not Talo is telling the truth about Florum.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, true. Yeah. I wonder if that would be tied into it somehow, but if we'll ever get more Crimson Dawn. I feel like I've seen a lot of people wanting some more of that on the big screen too, or Disney Plus show. I'd love to get more Kira and some of that story too. They really set that up. I was hoping we'd get some of those solo sequels that were kind of kicked around there, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see where Hidden Empire ends, which is like the latest arc after Crimson Reign in the comics.
Sure, yeah.
We'll see. I don't foresee them killing her off. There's just so much. There's so much potential in a story with her, and I would like to see Emilia Clarke back.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I mean, we touched on a lot of that stuff. Obviously, the big thing is I always personally was the fight, the rematch of the century, as it was sort of teased up. Are there any other big moments that you guys thought either in the finale or the show that are like, man, this was like one of my favorite moments of the whole series?
I mean, something small, but okay. Lil Leia is just perfect.
Yes.
in every scene. Her just grabbing Obi-Wan's hand, her sass throughout the entire thing, the whole bit where she's like, "This is my dad," and we're like,
Yeah.
you guys like, that's a weird story.
Right.
Anyways,
Classic Star Wars.
I felt like the show understood the assignment. Like it got Star Wars, because Star Wars is not meant to be perfect. Like there's a lot of camp in it. There's a lot of just like kind of jank,
Sure.
And but it honored all of Star Wars, the highbrow and just the fun,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard Star Wars described with jank. That's funnier than I expected.
It's got a little jank in there.
Yeah. No, for sure. They're dying now too.
Don't you call me a
Shut
mindless
them all
rascal.
down.
Yeah.
Small moment, but when he got to meet Luke and his hello there was Alec Guinness's hello there.
Yes, for sure.
That was the bridge right there.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Definitely. I like too in some interviews he was talking about trying to change his voice. You could tell he changed his voice a little bit to try and get a little, like you said, bridge that gap between the younger, Obi-Wan compared to Alec Guinness, old Ben. You could tell throughout the series, and especially in that moment, the hello there really tried to try to get that voice down.
This certainly would have canonically been jank. I'm gonna start saying that more. But if he had some semblance of information as to who he was from Owen, because then he would have been like, hello there, and then Luke would have been like, General Kenobi.
General Kenobi. Yeah.
It's like, what's that weird old wizard?
I saw. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the other thing is how, as the story unfolds, we see him as the reluctant hero. We see him in episode 3 where he's like mad. It's like, we should never have trusted them,
Mm-hmm.
But as he becomes more hopeful, right, and all Star Wars needs to have that hopeful element, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He becomes like this kind of light, and it brings everyone else up. Haja stuck his neck out because it was the right thing to do, and is now part of the path. We had what's his name, who I can't remember.
Roken.
Yeah, like, we were not soldiers. Like, why did you bring him here? He's going to bring them on us.
Mm-hmm.
And authorized a rescue mission and wanted Obi-Wan to stay with him on the ship, despite them being right behind him. We saw, like, just the way that Obi-Wan's presence lifted everyone else up was beautiful. And that's who I want to be. That's who I try to be. So that's really cool as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I was wondering when I heard some of those rumors about them maybe tweaking a little bit of dialogue or things towards the end to make it a little more hopeful. I don't know if that was true or not. I saw that going around before the show came out. It's not.
No.
That's not how movies work. That's not how.
Yeah, no, I thought so, but I remember them talking about that, and I was like, it's hopeful, but really Obi-Wan's the one that kind of ends with the hope. The galaxy, Organa even says it at the end. It's like, the Empire is growing stronger. They're growing bolder. We still need to stay in hiding. We obviously know where the story's going. They're still in a dark time, but having that little spark is what's going to change a lot of things. And I didn't expect all of that to come from Leia.
I think your mic is robot.
Can you hear me all right?
It's every time you speak.
I don't know. All right.
It's cutting out, or it sounds like a filter robot sound.
Couldn't get that.
Actually, it's happening
No?
with everyone's audio, right?
So Nate didn't sound like a robot to me, but Uncle does sound like some type of scuba.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure
I can
why. I
hear.
lowered the resolution and
No, I'm
got a
getting
good
it from
connection.
everyone now.
Okay,
Is
so
that
it might be
is that any better here?
It's a little bit. Yeah, I can hear all right.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
good?
Is that any better?
It's a little choppy, but I can hear you.
Yeah, Nate, you sound fine to me. Everybody sounds fine to me.
Okay.
Do I sound fine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
I don't know what that is.
Well, I got a lot of good stuff to say, but I don't think I'm going to hear me.
That's all right. We'll for sure have to do. I know I wanted to stick to about an hour is what I told you guys for the podcast. I didn't want to take up a ton of your time. We'll have to have you both on again another time. Maybe we'll fix some. We're not used to going virtual, so we're figuring it all out. But we'll get there.
Yeah, I remember last time you invited me. You guys were all in person, and
Yeah.
I don't know how we can just be like a little.
I know. So
Put you in the
there's
corner.
ways, but we wanted to
Little
make
box.
it in a way that would be visually all right and we could all hear and things. So those are some things we're trying to figure out to where we can do this, but still be back here together and still be able to get guests on. So we're working our way there.
But we'll definitely have to bring you both on DYAD as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd love it. We'd love
Be a
it.
blast. It'd be fun.
Definitely DM me on Instagram, like if you have Discords, because that's how we handle most of our booking.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I'm on there. That's perfect. Yeah, before we wrap up, because I know I want to be sensitive to your guys' time. The last part, I don't know if I was cutting out or not, but one thing I was saying is I don't know what you guys were expecting for the show, but I did not see the Leia, driving Obi-Wan back to the, I guess, Obi-Wan Prime Obi-Wan, or I guess the strongest, I would argue, that we've ever seen him. But getting him kind of out of that funk, I didn't see that coming, and I love the route that they took.
Before we continue, let me try leaving and coming back.
Okay.
Should I wait for him or just say it? I think he probably knows what I'm gonna say.
You can go for it.
That was a shock for me. So I watched every press release I could, every trailer, all this stuff. So I had a really good idea of what we were going to be getting.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept that in their back pocket very, very well. And like even at Celebration, the people that made it into that early panel got to come back that night to watch it there, and then that's when they revealed her, Vivian, Lila Blair, and had her come out. Yeah, that took me by surprise, but I loved it because Star Wars traditionally hasn't given a lot of love to the ladies, right? The original trilogy
Sure.
we had two, and one of them had zero development, so I did like getting to know Leia a lot more.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, caught me off guard, but then as the story was told throughout the season, I'm like, it makes total sense. There's a reason I'm not writing these.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of our development for Leia came post the original trilogy too. So.
Yeah.
Right.
It was great having like the younger version, especially when you think about everything that she's remembered about her past. We don't really have those answers. We have a book and then a book in the New Republic era, but like her childhood and how she was raised on Alderaan and just her acceptance of the Organas is an incredible story, and again, like I said, enhances the sequels, whether that's something that you're looking out for or not.
Yeah. No, I mean, I need to. I bad about it. I've read a lot of a handful of the High Republic stuff too. I need to dive back in, and you kind of touched on this earlier. Choco, was the the audiobooks. That's been a huge help for me. I'll get in the car, throw some audiobooks on, and listen to some of the High Republic stuff. So I'm looking forward to the new era of what they're kind of going for. It feels fresh. It feels, there's not a whole of just checking the boxes, fitting this into a piece of the story. They can kind of start anew and tell, what they want to share. So I'm looking forward to that. And I need to dive in more to the books and comics and things.
when you have time, like when you have like a couple of hours to yourself,
yeah,
read and listen at 2.5x.
Okay.
I've done that.
Yeah.
It's the way to go. Double retention, but also you get through a book in like 4 hours.
Yeah. I've read and listened. I don't know if I've done the double, the double speed, but I'll try it out.
That's good.
Hey, I do encourage the added speed. Like my wife listens at regular speed, so I'll hop in the car with her and they're talking.
Sounds like slow motion now.
Oh man. That's crazy.
Yeah. And just last thing on that too is I think they've done a great job with the audiobooks. The audio, like the sound effects and things too. It's like you're diving into the experience. It's really neat what they've been able to do with those. But yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I don't want to hold you guys, super long. So if you got any last things you want to touch on, we can. Otherwise, I really appreciate both of you coming on and joining us.
Thank you guys.
Tonight.
It's been great.
No, just thanks for having us. Especially as a dyad. I know a lot of times Choco and I can get separated, but we truly deserve to be together at all times. I'm just kidding. But thanks for having us. I know you guys said that like think like you were thanking us for being willing to come on, but we're always down to talk Star Wars. Like it's not a matter of is it worth our time or something, or are we willing to do it? Like
sure.
It's a matter of whether or not you ask us.
Well, I can tell you now, we'll have you back. We'll have you back for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I look forward to it. Well, we appreciate it. We really do. It's exciting. We're trying to get to the point where we can start getting a lot more guests on and stuff, and really start branching into the Star Wars community, social media stuff as a whole, to get a lot more creators, because there's a lot of people that have a voice in this, and I want to hear some more of that positivity amongst different creators that are trying to do kind of what you guys are talking about, of spreading that and just sharing the enjoyment that they get from Star Wars and the fandom. So
yeah. Bring you into the DYAD server.
All right.
With all the other creators, and then you can invite whoever you want to. They're all
perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Is my mic working now better?
Yeah, I think a little bit.
I got the quote.
Oh, you got a quote? All right. So he's gonna finish with the quote. There's always a random one that's thrown out. So with that, again, thank you guys for coming on. I know quick, just remind everybody where they can find you again.
Yeah, so I'm DarthChoco on TikTok, DarthChoco on YouTube, Darth.Choco on Instagram, DarthChoco7 on Twitter. No, the 7 was not made after Element7, but we are a dyad, and weird stuff like that just happens all of the time.
I'm not gonna lie, there was a part of me that was wondering that. So
no, just this type of stuff. This type of stuff just literally happens all of the time.
That's great.
Really?
There's only one instance of us planning it, and that was just because it was on TikTok. We were like, hey, let's hand each other a baby Yoda behind our backs. But there's so many things that just happens. It's weird.
But yeah, check out the High Ground podcast Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And there's another awesome podcast that we are on, but I'll let Pep tell you about that one.
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok and Twitter _Element7 _ on Instagram with an extra underscore at the end. Still _ gang. DYAD in the Force Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific with DarthChoco on youtube.com/DYAD in the Force. Yeah, that's where you can find us.
Perfect. Well, like I said, thanks again for tuning on. We appreciate it. If you guys aren't already, following these guys here on their social media stuff, following them on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, all of it, make sure to go check them out. Great content. Like we said, the lore masters for sure. So definitely check them out. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. And as always, may the force be with you.
Dyad in the Force. The Force is strong with them.
I think the cutout made it that much better.
Yeah.
That's great. All right.
Sorry about that.
See ya.
See ya.